doing?
Baker, I know your focus obviously this week. We were in a situation last year where Dave Cannell's did such a good job. He got job interviews and ultimately left. Now Liam Cohen getting some interest out there from other teams. Just can you speak to what type of an impact he's made on this offense and you this year?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, obviously it's public knowledge. He's getting the interview for the Jacksonville job, but it's going to come down to a one-on-one at Sawgrass for him to decide whether he actually takes the interview. So, no, but Liam's done an incredible job, and it's the influence he's had throughout all the guys teaching the game of football. You know, I've mentioned to you guys like all year that teaching the details of why we're doing certain things, why we have certain plays alerted or canned, whatever you want to call it, and he does a great job of that. And then calling the plays with player strengths, that's what good OCs do, and so he's done an unbelievable job of that.
You go back to that Baltimore game where it just, between losing Mike and losing Chris, and you stood up there in front of us, and, you know, I mean, you could just see it in your face. It looked like you didn't really know what was going to happen. Just would you have imagined in that moment that you guys would get to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, in the midst of that moment, it's obviously losing those two guys. It sucks. Losing the game, not great. But, you know, you take some time after that, realize that got to instill confidence in the other guys, get them ready to roll, and go from there. And that's, I keep saying this team's mentally tough, and that's the truth. And so next guy up mentality and plug and play and try and find a way to win.
What about for you for this season? Like, because you have put up numbers that are so much bigger than anything you have ever done in your career. Like, does it make it even more gratifying the fact that like you had to do that with, you know, not always your you know, star cast of characters, and you had to, you know, dig deep and really put out some of your best stuff you've ever done?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it still goes back to the guys up front, relying on those guys, leaning on them, and trusting everybody else, and just doing our job, trying to find ways to win. It's never statistically about your individual stuff, and just trying to find ways to win and getting into the playoffs and seeing what you do from there.
This is a matchup of two top 5 offenses. Todd Bowles was just saying, as a defensive coach, he's hoping it's not a shootout. But do you like getting in a shootout?
Obviously, if you come on the right side of it, yeah. Yeah, it's mentality for us. Find any way to win, whether the game's a shootout, whether it's low scoring, make the plays that matter when it counts. So it's going to be a full game. Got to be locked in. That's just playoff mode. All the little things really matter. The margin for error is just so much smaller at this point in the season, and everything counts.
Where do you think you guys are better from week 1 from the last time you faced Washington?
Schematically, I think, you know, like talking about Liam teaching the guys football and why we're doing certain things, I think guys have seen the way he's packaged some plays together formationally, had the different alerts on it, and just execution overall in the run game and the pass game. It's come a long way.
When you watch the tape of this Commanders defense now, what's changed? What stands out? Who's kind of jumped off maybe that didn't maybe in week 1?
I mean, it's a group that plays extremely hard. I'll say that. That's just the way they're coached. Personnel-wise, I've had some guys move around. You know, Mikey's playing outside a lot more now, and obviously you got Bobby Wagner in the middle, and Frankie Louvu, who's a game changer that they want to blitz him, and Jerry McShin, a really versatile player that I obviously know personally from being teammates, and so they're playing really hard and really well together, and they're making plays on the ball.
When you look at Graham Barton's first game this season was against Jonathan Allen. They were on pain, and now it's the rematch. But how has he grown in your eyes from week 1 to where he is now towards the end of his rookie season?
Yeah, the game has slowed down for him. Just with the communication with everybody up front, getting guys on the same page, you can tell the game slowed down for him. His head's not spinning, and so he's able to really get detailed in on what fundamentally sound, whatever it's pass sets or run blocking, the footwork on that. So you can tell he's come a long way.
Have you surprised yourself, Baker, in terms of your success on scrambles? You've run for a lot of key first downs this year, 68 yards last week. What's behind that? Is that just you feeling healthy and the opportunity arises?
Yeah, I mean, most of the time when I'm scrambling, it's looking to extend the play, to throw it downfield. But, you know, obviously last week was a different scenario where, needing a first down in a must-win situation, so doing whatever it takes to win.
Talk about mentally just where this team is at compared to a year ago, because I know that feeling in Detroit when you guys got knocked out, it was like we want to go so much further, and you have the opportunity in front of you again. So just where this team has grown from a year ago in that postseason to getting and putting yourself back in position where you want to be this year.
I'll speak offensively. It's the biggest difference is the run game. Of when we've needed to run the ball to win games, we've been able to do that. And so that's a physical mentality, and everybody being on the same page with that, and understanding that when you get into a certain mode late in the game where you're having to run the clock out, we're able to do that. And that's, to me, that's the biggest difference. You know, skill player-wise in the pass game, yeah, we're connecting quite a bit, but the biggest difference is the run game.
Baker, how do you know, quarterbacks are judged on winning and losing, and in the postseason, maybe most of all, right?
Mhm.
Whether you get to a Super Bowl, win them, there's a lot of guys that don't. How do you approach the postseason? Any different? Do you have to, you know, what is your, as a quarterback, what is your approach to it?
I mean, when you're playing, especially when you're playing a team that you've already played, for me, it's looking back at the tendencies, the certain things we did, the looks. You know they're going to have a different wrinkle in there for you. So really paying attention to the details of it. And to me, it comes down to knowing your game plan, like the back of your hand, understanding where my answers are, the checks I can get to, the things I can do, and communicating that throughout the week so it doesn't catch guys off guard.
One more ball. The throw you make for the touchdown that, you know, Jalen makes in the corner. I don't know, are you a guy that people underestimate your arm strength? You're off platform. There's no really margin of error. If it's two insides and it's knocked down, if it's outside, it's out of bounds. Can you just take us through like your ability to launch that off platform and just what that was like?
It comes from playing a lot of backyard football, different things like that. Just being able to change your arm angle and, you know, fundamentally when you're on the move, still getting your hips the right way and finishing with your arm going the right direction. Because a lot of times when you're rolling right, your momentum can take the ball outside right, and if you leave it too far inside, like you mentioned, it could be a pick or a pass breakup. So, yeah, just trying to put it in only a place where Jalen can get it, and he did an unbelievable job getting his toes down.
Earlier in the season, you had some close games that didn't go your way with all those overtimes. But you guys have been particularly good, especially down the stretch, late in games, fourth quarter. What has gone into making this team so good at closing?
Learning and growing together. You learn from your mistakes, and obviously you'd like to learn from winning games, but there's a lot of valuable lessons that we learned throughout those losses too, of the little details and just doing your job and trusting everybody else to do theirs. Good things are going to happen.
Just curious, Tristan last week was saying, you're not even on social media, might not even realize that it was an alternate vote. He told you, and then Liam came up here and he said, I texted him, or called him the other day and told him how many touchdowns he had. He didn't even know. Have you always been like that, or is it even more where you are in your career that you really don't even care about numbers or who's doing what?
That's been a growing process. To say that I've always been like that would be a lie. Used to, you know, keep a lot of notes and try and prove people wrong, but that's not the way to go about life. You got to believe in yourself. You got to move on and play for each other. And that's, you know, I keep talking to you guys about this is the greatest team sport. I love this group, and so how can I do my job the best to perform for them, to be prepared, and that's blocking out the outside noise. And the easiest way to do that is just to not have it.
This might be a top 5 Baker offensive line in this league, and we're not used to saying that around here. In your mind, how much of it is 2 new starters? How much of it is coaching and a different approach from Cone? How do you explain what's going on up front?
There's a lot of factors that play into that. I think year 2 with having Tristan being more comfortable at left tackle is a huge thing. Having Ben Bredesen next to him, a guy that's really, really good at communicating what we're trying to get done, and he's been able to help Graham out throughout this process of Graham growing as well. Obviously, Graham learning throughout the season and getting better and better helps. Cody's come a long way, and Luke Gadecki, I think, is one of the most underrated linemen in the league. But then you go to the room, you talk about Kevin Carberry, Brian Picucci, 2 really, really good coaches, fundamentally sound to get those guys on the same page. And then, you know, Justin School had to play a lot this year, guys that stepped up, and then Robert Hainsey being behind the scenes, helping these guys out with communication because he's had a lot of reps. And so it's a full group effort, and it's fun to see the chemistry and how they work together.
You had the team kind of gathered at your place a couple weeks ago, watching the Commanders and the Falcons. Do you have a hunch then that this might be the team that if you made it in the playoffs that you'd be facing in round 1?
I mean, yeah. You look at just wanting to get a chance in the playoffs, and obviously it was going to be one of the top teams, and they are. So, they finished out with a great record. Just had to get in the wild card, but you look at it, you're excited to play in the playoffs no matter who it is.
Could you paint the picture of you obviously don't get to pick when you play, but Sunday night it's a lot of waiting around on Sunday. What is that like for you guys? Do you relish the fact that it's under the lights, all eyes are on you. Like, how do you go about like your Sunday, knowing when this game is being played?
Yeah, I mean, playoff mode that everybody's going to be watching anyway. So it just that is what it is. You're excited to get to the playoffs, and you're excited for the next opportunity and get to play with this group, guaranteed for one more time. And that's the mentality going into it. But other than that, preparation-wise, you don't want to psych everybody out. You want to handle it the best way you can, but just a little bit more attention to detail, and ensuring the fact that everybody's on the same page and going to handle things correctly.
Two more questions,
Your
please.
relationship with your offensive line is noted almost from the beginning, right? But the time you guys spend together, whether it's at the Anchor Bar or what, just that being a part of them, I mean, even in warm-ups. I know it's intentional in some respects, but like how much is that the fabric of your offense right now, that relationship between you and your offensive line?
I think that's a big part of it. I think that's, it starts there. You don't have success unless you have an offensive line that's playing well. And football as a team sport, you play a lot harder, and you want to do better for your guys if you're closer with them. That's why this place has been unique since I stepped in here. It's a special group, and that's what it's all about.
Dave Canales last year, Liam's getting looks this year. Common denominator is you. You guys making these guys look good. You're like the new OC whisperer, getting these guys jobs by the way you're playing.
I wouldn't call it new OC whisperer. I've had too many to say that. No, Dave was great. Just you guys talked to him a lot. The mentality he had to turn things around, and just to keep the positive mentality. And then Liam coming in and changing some things scheme-wise and teaching the game to some of these guys that we have some new pieces. There's a lot of guys that have experience, but continuing to teach and grow. And those guys got the best out of everybody who they have, and that's what you see in those two. Thanks, guys.